could it be this way when you love someone? Yeah, I really love someone. Now I know it's right from the moment I wake up deep in the night. There's nowhere on earth that I'd rather be than holding you tenderly. I've been waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. I've been waiting for a girl like you, and a love will survive. I've been waiting for someone new to make me feel alive. Yeah, waiting.
Thank you very much.
kindness took so much of me, almost lost my mind. I know you think I had it coming, that's your point of view. I know that you got really mad when you knew that I saw through all your white lies. Tell me you fall with your white lies. You're breaking my heart with your white lies. Tell me you fall with your white lies. Breaking my heart with your white lies. Tell me you fall with your white lies. Breaking my heart with your
welcome. My guests tonight include the shop girl who became a star, Miss Lorraine Chase, and the Irish bank clerk who became an author and broadcaster, Frank Delaney. My first guest is a member of the most famous and lasting rock band in the business, the Rolling Stones. 20 years ago, they were called by one critic, and I quote, a herd of long-haired, talentless louts who burned themselves out in 2 years. I wonder what he thinks today with the band still touring, still at the top of the tree, and grossing on its latest tour of America a staggering £60 million. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Wyman. Welcome, Bill. That's a staggering figure, 60 million quid. It's unbelievable.
That's because it's not true.
It's not true.
No. It was $40 million.
$40 million, 20 million quid.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. But I mean, it's beyond the comprehension, isn't it, of Europe or here to think in that sort of colossal terms.
Yes, the reason is that it's like playing Wembley Stadium twice in every town, you know, and people don't think of rock and roll like that in Europe, and the speed that ticket sales go, 95,000 people, you know, 4.5 hours, and then they say, would you like to do another show, you know, tomorrow? And you say, can you sell it? They said, sure. I mean, they sell it, and it's amazing. What's
the logistics of touring like that, though? Because you always think of a group of musicians in a bus. They get in a bus and they drive off, and that's it, you know. They have a driver.
We used to do that.
You used to do that, yeah.
Quite a lot.
But what happens now? I mean, what's the size? It's like, must be like an army on the move.
It really is. It's about 8 or 10 semi-trucks, you know, those big 30-ton trucks with trailers. About 60 crew, which build and break down the stage and all that stuff. There's 60 people that go with you on a private plane, you know, like secretaries, publicists, photographer, doctor, so on and so on. And you've got to hotel them, you've got to move them about the country. It's an enormous logistical problem.
How much involvement do you, the members of the group, have in all this organisation?
Oh, total.
Total, you?
Oh, we really get involved in that.
Yeah. You don't, in fact, have a manager as such, do you?
No, that's why we get totally involved.
Right. But why? What is the reason why you don't have a manager? Because you did, didn't you?
They're too expensive.
They are.
Yeah. You learn, you get mistrusts, and they do things, and they organise things for you without asking you, you know, managers. They kind of, it's the only business where the manager doesn't work for you, you work for him. It's very strange. It turns around in the music business. And so we had enough of managers by about 69 years ago, and not that long. And we've looked after ourselves from then on, and it's worked very successfully. And when we need something done, we just employ the best person we can find for that particular job.
When you were under management, though, when you were being handled, were you in fact ripped off, do you think?
Well, for use of another phrase, maybe, yeah.
Do you ever calculate?
Well, we didn't have any money after 8 years, and we were still top. Yeah, 1969, we all owed a fortune, and we had no money, so we had to run away.
Is there much exploitation still, you think, in the business? I mean, have groups learned from your example, for instance?
Well, most of them don't learn until the group is finished. You know, 2 years, suddenly there's no money and there's no group anymore. We've managed to get over that, and if you can get past the first 10 years, you can start, you know, making some money, I think.
Does it, I mean, now you're in the situation where you take all that money on one tour. I mean, do you lose the sense of value of it after a while? Because, I mean, you must all be now multi-millionaires.
No. It costs, we spend an awful lot of money doing the tours. We probably spent $20 to $25 million setting the tour up, building stages. You know, the stage we used on the outdoor stadiums was 1/8 of a mile across.
It's true.
It's enormous. It's the biggest stage there's ever been. And there's 3 stages built, and they all cost like $750,000, this one, and so much that one. And they're broken down, built up every day, you know. Use one for outdoors, one for indoors. You've got enormous light systems. You've got a whole, and the movement of people, you know, you can imagine. 14, 15 weeks on the road every night, hotels and all. It's a lot of money to run that. Yeah.
What about the fans? I mean, it must be an extraordinary experience to go out on stage and see this mass of 100,000 people. I mean, do you ever get used to that? Do you get blasé about appearing in front of these incredible audiences?
It's very nice. You really don't think of it. I'm more nervous right now than
I thought you were a little bit shaky, yeah.
Yeah. I really am. I'm more nervous being like a central figure in just an audience of 6 people than in front of 100,000 or 500,000 or whatever it is. But finally, we get people that come that you wouldn't think, you know, like fans, if you could call them that, or curious people. Like in LA, people like Peter O'Toole came and stood side stage and watched the rock show for the first time, and afterwards he said, I was terrified. He said it was the most amazing feeling, the energy and that thing going there. He said, I would have been terrified out of my life. He said it was like the entry of the gladiators, he said to me, you know. And I said, well, I didn't think of it like that, but he never, I said, you play to millions. He says, yeah, but not
directly.
Face to face. You know? So that's quite interesting.
But what about the real fans, not the sort of star groupers, if you like? What about the real...
Kids in the street?
The kids in the street. I mean, you must have had some extraordinary experiences with those. Are there some who just literally...
Thank you for my secrets.
What? Well, you may speak freely on this programme.
Extraordinary experience.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of... looking back in all the years you've been on the road, what have been the sort of weirdest sort of encounters you've had with these fans?
No, I can't tell that one. There are so many, Michael. I can call you Michael, can't I?
You can, sir. If you tell me a story, you can call me Michael.
Oh, now, this wasn't rehearsed, I don't know. I've got to think about this one. Stories. God,
Is there any one fan story, or anyone that sort of sums it all up at all?
Well, there was a good one on this tour, and it's not particularly funny, but it's really true life, and that was the radio guys, TV guys, were interviewing people outside Candlestick Park in San Francisco, and said, are you Stones fans? These kids were like 16, 17, and they said, oh yeah, we're Stones fans. And he said, how long have you been Stones fans? And the guy said, oh, I go back way back with the Stones. He says, I've been a fan for years. So they said, but what was the first record that ever turned you onto the Stones? And he said, Some Girls, which was the album we released in 1976, which was like... Yeah. So it was our 31st album, I think, you know.
Yeah, right.
And he said, oh, I go way back, you know. Yeah. And those kind of things really make you think, because every show you go to, there's these the little kids are still coming, you know, 15, 16, 17, and there's very few bands that can retain that. And of course, the other fans stay with you, so you've got this enormous popularity after all those terrible things that were told about us in the old days.
What do you mean when it was also sex and drugs and rock and roll, and it was all pinned on the Rolling Stones? I mean, you were
smashing hotel rooms and things. None of that ever really happened, you know. It was always thought to happen, and we just let it go because it was good publicity. Occasionally it happened, you know, but not that many times.
You're very much the historian of the Stones, aren't you? You keep all the relevant data about what happens and the history.
Yeah, I'm just one of those boring people that collect things, and I've always collected things throughout the years, and because nobody else bothered, I've got everything, you know, and now everybody's trying to get it off me.
Are they? You're going to write
all these trunks in my house, all locked up, you know, padlocked and all that.
Is it true, too, that you kept the names of all the girlfriends that you knew through the years on the road? And if so, how many?
I'd rather not talk.
What about... Well,
I've got a good memory, that's all I can say.
Right, OK. Well, let's talk about something else, the drug scene, because one or two members of the group have in fact had their problems, but you never have, because you've always rejected that scene, haven't you?
Well, I always thought if I really got involved to start with, I'd probably enjoy it, and then there'd be problems, you know, so it's like starting smoking. Here we are. If you don't start, you never seem to do it, and then I thought of all the problems you have. If you do take them, you have tremendous problems trying to get them, especially in certain countries, you know. And it's a permanent sort of hassle and a problem to obtain things you need. And so I didn't really want to go through all that. And so I don't drink very much. I just have an occasional cigarette. I'm pretty boring, really.
What was the thing with Brian Jones? I mean, about his death. I mean, was that drugs?
No, it wasn't. Everybody seems to think so. Like in France, they say, I always mention that he died of a heroin overdose and things like that. He never took those kind of drugs. He used to smoke a bit. He used to take a few, you know, pills and things. And he used to drink a lot of brandy. And that's as much as I really know about Brian doing anything like that. And I used to hang out with him quite a lot when the other guys used to stay in the hotel. Like we used to, you know, pop out to the clubs and things, and after shows, and find girls and things like that. And he was a pretty straight, nice guy, really, and it's very sad when that kind of thing gets turned around after someone's dead.
There is a lot of it in your business, isn't there? I mean, you see a lot of casualties. You must have seen the 20 years you've been on. There's some terrible bloody scenes.
Yeah, horrible ones, and yeah. You just keep away from it, I think, try to. It's a very destructive business, Alf.
How much do you become a prisoner of this immense fame? I mean, how much do you find yourself unable to go out when you're touring and without being mobbed?
Mobbed, that's a good word. We used to say that in the 60s. Sounds years ago, then it's 60s. Yeah, there's not really a great problem. In certain towns of certain countries there's problems. New York and Paris is pretty bad. But generally, I can walk about. Yeah, people come up to me, approach me, say things, you know, but it's usually, hi, what's happening, how's Mick, and something like that, you know. They don't bother you too much, but in the early days it was impossible. It was you couldn't go to a cinema, you couldn't go shopping, you couldn't go in a pub. They wouldn't let you go in pubs, actually. You used to go in pubs and they used to say, we're closed. And you used to go to buy a pack of cigarettes in a tobacconist and they'd say, we don't serve the likes of you, and you couldn't do anything.
Really?
Even motorway cafes wouldn't serve you, you know.
Really?
And you thought you were doing them a favour. It's terrible. So that eased off in the late 60s, you know, and it's been all right ever since, I think.
People's attitudes towards you have obviously changed. I mean, you're always part of the rock establishment, to be such a thing now. But I mean, have you yourself as individuals changed? Have you toned down?
No, I don't think we've changed at all, really. I think the world about us has changed. They say now, oh, the Stones, they're in middle age and they've toned down. They're becoming very reserved and quiet and all that, but it's really the things that we rebelled against were very small things which built up at the time, like long hair, no ties in restaurants, all those silly things like that, not wearing stage uniforms, not smiling for photos, and all those kind of little things created an image for us, but everybody accepts them as normal now. You've got Russian footballers with hair down here, you know, you've got they don't think of it as extraordinary now. I think it's the people around that's changed, you know,
yes.
and not the Stones particularly.
When you were a kid, was it your ambition to be a rock and roll star?
No, I didn't. I had no idea what I wanted to be. I wanted to be in a band, but there wasn't groups then. It was I learned clarinet and piano and things, and I wanted to be in an orchestra or band, jazz band or something. And then skiffle came along, and I tried to play guitar. Lonnie Donegan was a big idol, and I never really thought about it until it actually happened, and then I suddenly realised this very early ambition of being in a band.
What sort of background did you come from? Is it a very, very working class background?
Very. Yeah.
Was it?
South of London. In fact, the first time we ever had a bathroom in the house and a toilet in the house was after I'd been in the Stones about a year, you know, when I moved into a modern flat. Before that, it was always the toilet in the garden and no hot water, no central heating. Nothing, a lino on the floor, freezing cold, you know, frost inside the windows. So they don't believe me. Frost inside the windows, you know, in the mornings to get up to go to school and work. Oh, it's terrible. I would never go back to that, I don't think. I could, though, I think, having lived through it, I could live like that again. I think a lot of people that have never experienced that wouldn't be able to.
Do you have any nostalgia for it, though? I mean, do you ever go back
yeah.
and look at Peabody Buildings, where it was, you know, where you were?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't any buildings. I think most of the roads are gone now, you know, been torn down. But this, I wouldn't regret being like that because I still very much like that working class thing, and I still love baked beans and you live in the south of France, you get all these wonderful things, and people think you're drinking champagne and eating caviar every day, and all you're doing is phoning your mum at home, asking her to send you Branston pickle and stuff like that, and bird's custard, you know.
Bird's custard, you can't get in France, can
I know, you can't get those things, and piccalilli and
Piccalilli.
Jelly, you know, and all those really simple things, and I really yearn for them, you know.
How do you like France, though? Did you have an initial problem there when you first went to live there?
Yeah, I hated it.
Did you?
Yeah. The country was beautiful, but the French people really leave something to be desired, I think. And
in what particular area do they leave things to be desired?
Just about everywhere. They've got no soul. I can't use any other terminology to explain it, but English people have got a soul, and so have Americans, but French, the Latin peoples don't seem to have anything real inside them, you know. It's all pretentious and intellectual, or pseudo-intellectual, and I can't deal with it, you know. But then I started to meet people that were more intellectual, painters, poets, writers, people like that, scientists, astronomers, and then they're a different class of people.
You're, in fact, we'll talk in a moment, you're a great friend of Marc Chagall, the painter, who's now, you're telling me, 96 years of age.
Yeah.
And you're going to do a book on him with your photographs. And
well, we were born in the same year, you see.
born the same year. Yeah. But first of all, before we do that, let's have a look at a clip we've got here, which is a song. It's a French song, isn't it? It's Je suis un rock star.
It's a Cockney version of it.
A Cockney version of it, yeah. All right, let's have a look at this now.
Je suis un rock star, je avais une résidence, je habitais là. À la south of France, voulez-vous partir with me and come and rester là with me in France? On strike, there's no planes flying. I could rent a motorbike, at least I'm trying. We could go on the hovercraft across the water. They'll think I'm your dad and you're my daughter. Je suis un rock star, je avais une résidence, je habitais là. À la south of France, voulez-vous partir with me and come and rester là with me in France?
That was written for Ian Dury, wasn't it? Am I right in thinking, or?
That was the idea. I was wearing the same shirt and tie.
The continuity
I didn't realise,
is wearing now.
They did. Yeah, I kind of thought I'd write songs for other people. For a change, and write descriptive music, which got me into a movie film score. But I kind of wrote that with Ian Dury in mind.
I like Ian Dury. I think he's a
yeah, and
guy.
I was trying to persuade people to send the song to him, and they kept saying, no, you have to do it, you know. And I kept trying to say, but Ian would do a great thing on it, you know, and sell lots of records and that. And I'm not really good at that sort of thing. But they wouldn't send it to him. They kept telling me, and in the end, I did it. And it did very well, fortunately.
They did very well, but you were releasing that, aren't you, on the new record that you bring out in March?
Yeah, well, you usually do it with an album, but I didn't. I just wanted to see what happened to it. And I was halfway through the album, and then the tour came up, and there was 6 months, you know, of work. And so I've just managed to finish it now, and it comes out in a month, something like that.
How difficult is it for you to lead a separate life from outside the group, to create your own identity and pursue your own interests?
Yeah, it's a bit tough, especially with songs and that. If you give someone a song, or they say, well, if it's that good, why aren't the Rolling Stones doing it, you know? Which is, it's a kind of a ball and chain around your ankle. So when you do it yourself, it's not too bad. I had to completely divorce myself from the band's organisation to do private projects, because I tried to do it within the band before. It didn't work, because the secretary that is in the office, if you phone her up and say, could you send a cassette of that song to that person that morning, and Keith rings up and says, could you get me a new nanny? Mine's just... They'll get him the new nanny, obviously, because that's their priority. And I realised that things weren't quite working as efficiently as they should do, you know, on private projects. So I just took all the business separate and did my own thing there and the band there. So that works very well now.
Do you find yourself now getting more and more interested in your own personal projects rather than the band, or is it still the band? Is it still the most important thing?
The band is the most important, yes, absolutely. And then from then on, I just fill the rest of my time. I'm a workaholic, you know, fill the rest of my time with anything that comes along. And I've had so many great offers of different kinds of projects, like photography things and movies, film score, and solo recordings and things like that, that I find it very exciting to do other things when I have time.
Good. Well, Bill Wyman, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Bill Wyman.
Welcome. On tonight's show, Soft Cell and Edgar Winter in the studio. David Hepworth will be talking about video. And there's also Memorex Lane. We start, though, with one of the first of the successful Australian groups, the Little River Band. They appeared at the Dominion Theatre in London at the end of November, and here's some film of them playing a number from their last album, Time Exposure, which was shot just before they left a tour of the Far East. The Little River Band and the Night Owls.
The street, he's got a need he just can't beat. Out on the floor, he shuffles his feet away. He'll get the girl cause he looks so fine. He's gonna win her every time, he knows he will. He's dressed to kill, he's a night owl. Move on, there's a heart of a night owl calling to belong. She's crying in the night. Be strong, find the heart of the night owl calling. Stay up too long till the night is gone. What will become of the restless kind? Where do they go when they've done their time? Wearing their hearts out on the line for all to see. Must be the gypsy in their soul. They have a need to rock and roll. They always will. They're out there still. They're the night owls. Move on. There's a heart of the night owl calling to belong. She's crying in the night. Be strong. Find the heart of the night
I'd like to dedicate this song to my wife, Monique. It's called Dying to Live. You know, I've heard it said there's beauty in distortion by some people who draw hard to find their head. And they say that there is humor in misfortune. Sometimes I wonder if they'll laugh when I am dead. Why am I fighting to live if I'm just living to fight? Why am I trying to see when there ain't nothing in sight? Why am I trying to give when no one gives me a try? Why am I dying to live if I'm just living to die? Now some people say that values are subjective, but they're just speaking words that someone else has said. And so they live and fight and kill with no objective. Sometimes it's hard to tell the living from the dead. Why am I fighting to live if I'm just living to fight? Why am I trying to see when there ain't nothing inside? Why am I trying to give when no one gives me a try? Why am I dying to live if I'm just living to die? Now I used to weave my words into confusion, so I hope you'll understand me when I'm through. Now I used to live my life as an illusion, but reality will make my dream come true. So I'll keep fighting to live till there's no reason to fight. I'll keep trying to see until the end is inside. You know I'm trying to give, so come on, give me a try. You know I'm dying to live until I'm ready. Till I'm ready. Till I'm ready. Hey, yeah. Until I'm ready to die.
On next week's show, Aswad and XTC. Well, we wish you good night and see you next week. And here's Making It Work Together from Edgar Winter.
Looking so hard to
Ladies and gentlemen, Simon and Garfunkel.
I'm sitting in the railway station, got a ticket for my destination. On a tour of one-night stands, my suitcase and guitar in hand, and every stop is neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band. Homeward bound, I wish I was homeward bound. Home, where my thoughts escaping, home, where my music's playing, home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. looks the same to me. The movies and the factories, and every stranger's face I see reminds me that I long to be homeward bound. Oh, and I wish I was homeward bound. Home, where my thoughts are escaping. Home, where my music's playing. Home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. Tonight I'll sing my songs again. I'll play the game and pretend. But all of my words come back to me in shades of mediocrity, like emptiness in harmony. I need someone to comfort me. Homeward bound, I wish I was homeward bound. Home, where my thoughts are escaping. Home, where my music's playing. Home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. Homeward bound, I wish I bound now, home, where my thoughts are escaping. Home, where my music's playing. Home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. Silently for me.
Well, it's great to do a neighborhood concert. I hope everybody can hear us. I hope that the sound is good. I just want to thank the police department, and the fire department, and the Parks Commissioner, and Ed Koch, and particularly, you know, people that never get recognized for doing good deeds for the city. A group of people that have donated half of their proceeds that they're making tonight. The guys who are selling loose joints are giving the city half of their income tonight. Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag. So we bought a pack of cigarettes and Mrs. Wagner pies, and we walked off to look for like a dream to me now. It took me 4 days to hitchhike from Saginaw, and I've come to look for America. Laughing on the bus, playing games with the faces. She said the man in the gabardine suit was a spy.
said, be careful, his bow tie is really a camera. Toss me a cigarette, I think there's one in my raincoat. We smoked the last one and now we're cold. So I looked at the scenery. She read her magazine and the moon rose over an open field. Kathy, I'm lost, I said, though I knew she was sleeping. I'm empty and I'm aching and I don't know why. Counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, and they've all gone to look for America. All come to look for Pajama rolled out of bed, she ran to the police station. When Papa found out, he began to shout, he started the investigation. And it's against the law, it was against the law. What the mama saw, it was against the law. The mama looked down and spit on the ground every time my name gets mentioned. When the papa said, oh, if I get that boy, I'm gonna stick him in the house of detention. Well, I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way. Taking my time, but I don't know where. Goodbye to Rose. See the queen of Corona. See me and Julio down by the schoolyard. See me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
might be somewhat crowded, but we seem to have filled the place.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. Tell her to make me a cambric shirt. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Without no seam nor needlework, then she'll be a true love of mine. Tell her to find me an acre of land. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Between the salt water and the sea strand, then she'll be a true love of mine. Tell her to reap it in a sickle of leather. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And to gather it all in a bunch of heather, then she'll be a true love of mine. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. April, come she will. Streams are ripe and swell with rain. May she will stay, resting in my arms again. June should change her tune. In restless walks she'll she will fly and give no warning to her flight. August died she must. The autumn winds blow chilly and cold. September I remember a loved one's new has now grown old. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. We both fell sound asleep. Wake up, little Susie, and weep. The movie's over, it's 4 o'clock, and we're in trouble deep. Wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. Well, what are we gonna tell your mama? What are we gonna tell you, Papa? What are we gonna tell our friends when they say, ooh la la, wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. Well, I told your mama that you'd be in by 10. Well, Susie, baby, looks like we goofed again. Wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. We gotta go home. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. The movie wasn't so hot, it didn't have much of a plot. We fell asleep, our goose is cooked, our reputation is shot. Wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. Well, what are we gonna tell your mama? What are we gonna tell your papa? What are we gonna tell our friends when they say, ooh la la, wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. I met my old lover on the street last night. She seemed so glad to see me, I just smiled. And we talked about some old times, and we drank ourselves some beer. Still crazy after all these years. Still crazy after all these years. I'm not the kind of man who tends to socialize. I seem to lean on old familiar ways. And I ain't no fool for love songs that whisper in my ears. Still crazy after all these years. Whoa, still crazy after all these years. 4 in the morning, I'm tapped out and yawning, longing my life away. I never worry, why should I? Oh, it's all gonna fade. Now I sit by my window and I watch the cars roll by. I fear I'll do some damage one fine day, but I would not be convicted by jury of my peers. Still crazy after all these years. Well, still crazy, still crazy. Still crazy after all these years.
I'm so in the mood.
In the mood.
Many's the time I've been mistaken, and many times confused. Yes, and I've often felt forsaken, and certainly misused. Ah, but I'm alright, I'm alright. I'm just weary to my bones. Still, you don't expect to be bright and bold, Yvonne, so far away from home. So far away from home. And I don't know a soul who's not been battered. I don't have a friend who feels at ease. I don't know a dream that's not been shattered or driven to its knees. But it's all right, it's all right, for we lived so well so long. Still, when I think of the road we're traveling on, I wonder what's gone wrong. I can't help it, I wonder what's gone wrong.
And I dreamed I was dying. I dreamed that my soul rose unexpectedly, and looking back down at me, smiled reassuringly. And I dreamed I was flying, and high up above, my eyes could liberty, sailing away to sea, and a dream clouds fly. But we come on a ship they call the Mayflower. We come on the ship that sailed the moon. We come in the age's most uncertain hours and sing an American tune. Whoa, whoa, and it's alright. Oh, it's alright, it's alright. You can be forever blessed. Still, tomorrow's gonna be another working day, and I'm trying to get some rest. That's all I'm trying to get some rest. First thing I remember, I was lying in my bed. Couldn't have been no more than 1 or 2. And I remember there's a radio coming from the room next door, while mother laughed the way some ladies do. Well, it's late in the evening, and all the music's seeping through. The next thing I remember, I am walking down the street. I'm feeling alright with my boys and with my troops, yeah. Down along the avenue, some guys are shooting pool, and I heard the sound of acapella groups, yeah. Singing late in the evening, and all the girls out on the stoops, yeah. Then I learned to play some lead guitar. I was underage in this funky bar, and I stepped outside and smoked myself a drink. When I come back to the room, everybody just seemed to move, and I turned my amp up loud and began to